I think the Jews have to ask themselves the question, why is it that every time they've arrived as pitiful refugees in a country, after a few years, they have to move on? They don't seem to ask themselves that question. I know that I'm disliked as an historian. I know that I'm hated by some people, and I know the reason why, and I know what I could do to change it, instantly change my opinions. I'm not going to do it. They don't ask themselves what they could do to change the way that they are disliked.
David Irving was once one of the world's highest-paid historians. His books defending the Nazis and attacking established accounts of the Holocaust have sold thousands of copies and earned him a small fortune. In the process, Irving became the world's most prominent Holocaust denier. In 2005, Irving was arrested in Austria for trivializing the Holocaust, a crime in that country. Months later, he pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but served only 1/3 of that. On July 16th, I learned that Irving had slipped into New York City to speak to some of his supporters. I reached him on his cell phone, and he disclosed to me a secret location where his talk was to take place, a church basement on the Upper East Side. It would be his first major public appearance in the U.S. since his release from prison. While Irving spent much of his time reveling the crowd with tales of his imprisonment, his principal aim seemed to be rehabilitating the reputation of Adolf Hitler.
Adolf Hitler was being kept out of the loop, and was probably not at all anti-Semitic by the time the war began. And this is such an extraordinary view. It is so well documented that I think, frankly, that it's views like this that cause governments to lock me up and put me away. And he repeatedly held out his hand to stop things happening to the Jews, that the evil men were at a lower level than himself, and that these evil men were keeping him out of the loop.
Can you say briefly about what really happened and why Germany got in?
Why Germany got in the war?
Yeah.
Because Hitler wanted a little war. A little war to cement the German-Austrian relationship. He said this in private. Hitler wanted a little war, he got out of hand. But we British had no real mistake of it.
How could 6 million Jews be murdered in gas chambers and not be a decrease in the world's Jewish population?
Throughout all the wars, what a real Holocaust is all about and what a phony one is all about.
Which Holocaust do you think is phony?
The Jewish Holocaust.
Without the Holocaust, there wouldn't be a nation of Israel. Without the Holocaust, American soldiers wouldn't be dying in the Middle East. Without the Holocaust, we wouldn't be starting a war with Iran when Israel has about 150 atom bombs. Figure it out yourself.
Anything from the Zionist Hollywood, AIPAC influenced America. This is what's responsible for the Holocaust.
The only thing I contend is that gas chambers were not used as a murder weapon, that soap was not made out of the victim's body fat, and lampshades was not made out of their skin.
After dining with Irving on several occasions, the journalist Christopher Hitchens wrote an impassioned article in Vanity Fair describing him as a, quote, great historian, and attacking his critics as, quote, hysterical and old-maidish, while claiming Irving has never and not once described the Holocaust as a hoax.
I can't speak for Christopher Hitchens, but he's a good friend and he's a very brave man. He contacted me at the time I first ran into trouble with the Goebbels biography with St. Martin's Press in 1996, and he was writing an article for the Vanity Fair, and he wanted an assertion from me that I'm not a Holocaust, which I immediately gave him, and based on that he wrote a very, very fair account of the controversy in his magazine, and he impressed me by his fairness. We've been good friends since, we've been good friends after, and he wrote a whole-page article defending me in the Wall Street Journal when I was imprisoned, which I thought was very, very decent of him because it wasn't a popular thing to do.
And you're still good friends with him? You're still in touch with Christopher Hitchens?
Yes, I think it's fair to say that. I really don't want to incriminate him.
Are you a Holocaust denier?
No, good Lord, no. If anyone reads my books, takes the trouble to read my books, they'll see the facts.
But when I challenged Irving, the hardcore Holocaust denier came out of his shell.
You said more people died on the backseat of Edward Kennedy's car at Chappaquiddick than ever died in a gas chamber at Auschwitz. How is that not denying?
The right quotation, the actual quotation, more people died on the backseat of Edward Kennedy's car at Chappaquiddick, meaning the one woman, Mary Jo Kopechne, than ever died in that gas chamber at Auschwitz, meaning the one that showed the tourists. And the Poles now admit, they put on the inscription outside, they admit that the building was built 3 years after World War II was over. It's a fake.
You contend that there was a Holocaust, though?
I don't use the word Holocaust. I think the word Holocaust is an odious commercial term that's been developed by big agencies to make money. I think the people who are making the money are not the ones who suffered, but big agencies who are just screwing what money they can out of people who are very rich.
You deny that there was a Holocaust by denying the very term Holocaust or Shoah.
I think the word Holocaust is odious. It's American commercialism at its worst.
Lie, 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 lie.